And a very good morning to you. Welcome to K24 this morning. My name is Jeff Mota. Karibu sana. It's 8 on the nose, and as is the norm right here, we look at the big stories making headlines right across your dailies and then analyze those stories and the headlines a bit deeper right here on the show. And even as we do that, we're starting off today with some good news for you. You could walk away with airtime, all courtesy of the People Daily and Safaricom. We've been telling you that wherever you are across this country, you can get yourself a copy of the People Daily straight to your phone, and all you need is that magic number, star 550 star 4 hash. Once again, the number is star 550 star 4 hash. Dial that number, get yourself a copy of your People Daily, brought to you by the PD and Safaricom. And once again, you don't need any data for that on your phone. You don't even need a mobile app so as to get this particular paper. All you need is a number, star 550 star 4 hash. Dial that number, get yourself a copy of your People Daily straight to your phone. And right here on the show, we're giving you airtime. It's just the gift that keeps on giving right here. And all you need to do is, once you've downloaded your copy of your People Daily, take that screenshot, send it to us with the WhatsApp number scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And once you do that, the airtime is as good as yours. So once again, as you dial the number star 550 star 4 hash, you get yourself a copy of your People Daily. Take that screenshot, send it to me on the WhatsApp number at the bottom of your screen, and you get yourself airtime, all courtesy of Safaricom. So get cracking on that. Once again, the number star 550 star 4 hash. Dial that number, download your copy of your People Daily, send that screenshot to the WhatsApp number at the bottom of the screen, and I'll send you airtime, all courtesy of Safaricom. It's brought to you by the People Daily and Safaricom. Speaking of, let's look at the front page of your People Daily. This is what you'll be seeing as you download it. Front page of the PD, 12,000 teachers teaching jobs up for grabs. Employers called for applications for primary and secondary tutors, raising hopes for skilled but unemployed young people in education sector. So it's a boom for those particular teachers who will be getting jobs courtesy of the TSC. That story is on page 2 of the People Daily this morning. But even as you look at that, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics yesterday releasing some grim figures in terms of unemployment in the country. And really the demographic population that's affected by this and really hard hit between the ages of 25 to 29, saying that it's increased almost ninefold on this. A report talking about 1 million having lost their jobs to COVID. Bureau of Statistics report exposes grim employment reality and predicts even tougher times. That story can be found in your copy of your People Daily as well, on page 8 therein. Also, in the PD, moment of truth for unyielding Obado. Before dusting himself up after a week of court drama, embattled Migori governor faces impeachment, but defiant county chief says he shall overcome. So this, of course, even as his party starts the motions in terms of getting him impeached from by the county assembly, he says he will continue discharging his duties, and of course justice shall prevail. That's a story that you can get on page 4 of your People Daily. And as you look at that, of course, keeping a keen eye on the COVID numbers and looking at whether the curve takes a spike or flattens on this one. As of yesterday, the total confirmed cases standing at 34,315. That is right across the country. That's how things are looking at this particular point in time. And you can get all those details in your copy of your People Daily this morning. Don't forget, once again, like I said, this particular copy can be gotten at the luxury of your phone. And the number that you dial is star 550 star 4 hash. Let's move it along to the Daily Nation's front page now. They're talking about the jobs in the education sector as well, leading with that story as well. 11,000 jobs lined up for teachers. TSC seeking to fill 11,574 vacancies in a move aimed at easing the chronic staffing crisis in public schools. Secondary schools will be the main beneficiaries of 5,000 new tutors, while primary schools will have the biggest number of teachers hired to replace those who have exited the service. That story is front and center in your copy of your Daily Nation. But also, as you look at that, they're talking about Raila throwing Obado under the bus as ODM sanctions ouster. There's a picture right there of ODM leadership coming out of a meeting right here in Nairobi yesterday, where they did give the go-ahead for MCAs in Migori to start the impeachment process of Governor Obado. That story can be found on page 6 of your Daily Nation. As you look at that as well, no boundary review before 2022, says IEBC. Chairman Chabukati talks about the fact that the statutory time for the boundary review exercise is between 8 and 12 years. They don't think this is the time right now. Of course, they've also spoken about the resource being strapped as far as the commission is concerned. And that story can be found on page 8 of your Daily Nation this morning. Let's look at the Standards front page now. Sealing the fate of Obado. The Standard says they're talking about impeachment. Raila's party demands immediate resignation of Migori governor, who has been a thorn in the former PM's flesh, or else he will be kicked out. So really a hard place politically, as well as he tries to defend his innocence as far as the case is concerned. And that story is on page 8 of your Standard this morning. On his side, Migori governor talking about the fact that these are dirty machinations of ODM. The MCAs are so wise to make independent decisions and won't be dictated or intimidated. That story is on page 8, once again, of your Standard. You can get all the details of that in there. But also in the Standard, just looking at the state of unemployment in the country, there's a special report on page 6 and 7. They're talking about shock of 1.7 million Kenyans made jobless by virus. That story can be found as well in your copy of your Standard this morning therein. Finally, from page of the Star, tenders, how state agencies defied Uhuru. National Treasury yet to link e-procurement system to IFMIS and the PPIP. This story can be found on page 2. They're talking about nearly all agencies have not been publishing tender details, painting the picture that it's not only unique to KEMSA, the situation that we are in, but doing a survey right across agencies, you'll find the same situation replicated right across all of these agencies. And that's a story that you can find in detail in your copy of your Star on page 2 therein. If there's any other story that we'll be talking about right here, we want you to chime in on the conversation as well. The WhatsApp number at the bottom of the screen. You can also get me at I am Jeff Mote or at K24 TV. My panel ready in place to give some analysis to the big stories of the day. Welcome aboard. This is your newspaper preview. Good morning. Welcome back. Let's get to my panel, of course, even before we get to the big stories right here in studio, joined by Dennis Anyoka. He's an advocate of the High Court. Morning, Dennis.
Morning, Jeff.
Karibu sana. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Asante sana. Thank you so much for making time. We also have Joy Mdivo, Executive Director, East Africa Center for Law and Justice. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff.
Karibu sana. Welcome to the show, Joy.
Asante.
Asante sana. And joining the conversation via Skype, we have Justice Maina. He's a governance expert. Good morning, Mr. Maina.
Good morning, Jeff.
Karibu sana. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Asante sana. I want us to start the show on a political note right now. Of course, this after what we saw at the Nairobi Hotel yesterday and the ODM leadership taking a certain position. Let's set the stage on this particular story. Now, an ODM meeting with Migori MCAs held yesterday resolved to impeach Governor Okoth Obado. Party Chairman John Badi has said. Now, a total of 37 out of 41 ODM MCAs attended the consultative meeting at a Nairobi Hotel, and the move comes a day after Obado blogged from prison cells accusing Senator Ochilo Oyako and other county leaders of planning his impeachment. Angela Chiror now reports.
Just a day after Migori County Governor Okoth Obado hit out at ODM for plotting for his impeachment before the case in which he and some of his family members are accused of misuse of public funds is heard and determined. Moments after he was released on bail by the anti-graft court, ODM party, in consultations with county members of county assemblies, have resolved to have a motion of impeachment against Governor Obado initiated immediately and have the deputy governor take over.
Something is so unique about Migori that the deputy governor has, in the recent past, been denied access to that office. And even the vehicle, official car, was taken away from him. The CECs don't respect him. CEOs, the chief officers don't respect him. He has not been functioning as a deputy governor.
For the better part of today, Migori members of County Assembly, together with a section of leaders of the ODM party, camped at a city hotel, plotting Obado's impeachment.
We have consulted extensively with them. We have largely agreed with MCS, with a few reservations here and there, that really, for Migori County to continue functioning, we need to make a decision. It may be a painful one, but it is the decision that can be made. That is to have the governor of Migori County impeached.
Reports indicate that 37 out of 41 members of county assemblies voted to impeach Governor Obado over the graft allegations.
We know it is not going to be easy because we are aware that there are attempts even to influence the MCS not to do that. but the party is pronouncing itself that the governor should be impeached. And by the way, this has nothing to do with any personal feelings. It is just about the functioning of the county. Practically, if I was Governor of Obado, I would have just resigned, because Migori is bigger than an individual. He would have just resigned because he knows he's not going to have an opportunity to discharge his duties. Why hold the county at ransom?
The decision comes the day after Obado and his 4 children were charged with 73 million fraud offense. Obado's family had spent the weekend in police custody after they were arrested in Migori. They were arraigned before Senior Principal Magistrate Lawrence Mugambi on Monday. The accused, however, denied the charges and were freed on 18.25 million shillings cash bail, which they have since paid to the court. Obado has since been barred from accessing the Migori County office.
The state and public officers charged in this case, including the first accused, shall liaise with the investigating officer to be escorted to pick their personal staff, if any, from Migori County offices.
He has also been ordered to surrender his passport to the court, not to travel outside the country, and not interfere with the witnesses. Angela Cheror, K24.
Let's take it from there on that particular story and bring it to studio. Joy, ODM leadership pronouncing itself as far as their party member is concerned and the move they want to make as far as the allegations on him are concerned. John Badi is saying if it was him who was a governor, I would have quit and just stepped aside on this one, relinquished my seat. Do you think this is all above board because the governor says these are political machinations? It's because I'm perceived to be a friend of the deputy president. That's why this is happening to me.
That excuse of hiding behind the deputy president when you've been caught out in trouble surely is just nonsense. Because unless somebody is so unfortunate, every time there is a scandal and your name comes up and your family members' names feature prominently, because this is the same governor, remember, who's still facing murder charges for the murder of Sharon. And here he is again being mentioned in something else, implicated together with his family members, as he was also the first time with his PA and his wife. So in my opinion, forget about whoever he's associating with. What he's involved in is ridiculous. And if the chickens have come home to roost, well, too bad for him. Because from where I stand, the problem is not even with Obado, should he resign or should he not resign. We've drafted our laws to enable people like Obado, people like we have seen in the past, like former Governor Waitito, to be able to function because the law protects them. So unless we find a way of just lynching them, shortly, I mean, basically just, you know, strong-arm tactics, most of them, if we follow the law, have a right to stay where they are for as long as they can. Why? Because we have a Leadership and Integrity Act that says unless somebody has been convicted and has exhausted all his appeals, then he cannot take, he's not obliged to resign from office because he's still presumed to be innocent until proven guilty. But what we have seen in some of these offices, the fact that you have been implicated in something and there is a likelihood because of your office, you're so powerful that you can interfere with investigations, for example. And therefore, for some instances, it would have made sense to step aside as the investigations proceed. But is that what our law says? That's what we envision in Chapter 6. But when it came to statutes, our legislators let us down. And my challenge to them is, you want people like Obado to resign? Don't go and call on him to resign on the streets of Nairobi. Go back to Parliament, fix that Leadership and Integrity Act, and tighten all those loopholes so that people, when they're caught up in a situation like this, the procedure is clear. There's nothing left to chance, or we call on him, we call on him. We are tired of people calling on people. Let's just make our laws functional, and then we apply them to the letter for everybody.
And as you look at the laws, there's also the question of the sincerity of the party, Dennis, because from what they've said as ODM party leadership, it should have started a long time ago, and every MP or governor who's been found allegedly to have taken part in graft should have gotten the same measure, because they say as a party their stand is 100% against corruption. But we've only seen this happen now with Governor Obado.
Jeff, you know, there are two sides of the coin on this issue. There is the legal aspect and there's the political bit of it. The grounds for which a governor can be removed from office is constitutional. It's provided in Article 181 of the Constitution. If you look at Article 181, 1B, it says that if there are grounds to believe that the governor has violated has committed a crime under the national laws, then it's a ground for impeachment. Now, the word believe here has no threshold similar to that of, criminal proceedings when these people are taken to court, like if I use Obado as an example. So it is very difficult, and I'll go back to what Joy is saying. Legally speaking, there is conflict of the laws, where the Integrity Act does not expressly provide that once you are charged, you step aside. In fact, it cautions governors from being removed from office by dint of, being charged in court. However, the county assemblies can bring an impeachment motion and may succeed if they believe they have sufficient grounds, because the standard is way lower and is not similar to that of, the criminal process in court. Now, the challenge that we have is the level of influence, and why we think some of us, including myself, believe that ODM is not sincere in its quest right now. Firstly, the county assembly should be left to operate without influence. Now we see a party directly influencing and pushing for an agenda. That is a political process. We may not really, bash them on that agenda, but we would have expected the assembly to have been more independent than it is. If the ground for removal is because Obado is being charged in court for whatever offense this time it is, for which I have no right to talk about because the matter is still in court, I have not seen the documentation, I have not seen the evidence, then I could have expected a motion to have been brought when Obado was charged with the murder of a lady called Sharon.
Right.
And he was actually in custody for a long time. That impeachment motion did not come. So what has simply happened now?
Right.
Is it a question of a witch hunt? That is the question we are looking at and examining. Secondly, Jeff, it's not the first time an ODM governor has been charged with corruption-related charges. We had the governor, I want to believe that's from Busia, Ojamong, who was taken to court. We've never had an impeachment motion being discussed or being pushed by ODM.
Right.
Then you wonder why these are both are ODM governors. Why now? Why Obado?
Right.
Then finally, I mean, if maybe this is not, somebody could say this is a bit a distant analogy, but very recently, ODM through its Secretary General did a letter trying to cleanse the KEMSA attendant, saying there's no money stolen and all those kind of things, and alleging that let there be other means of looking at all these, and they did not appear from the letter they wrote to be pushing an agenda to really push for anybody who is said to be corrupt to be charged in court or anything. They appeared to be shielding anybody who was involved in that particular tender. And that brings me to a question whether ODM stands for truly zero tolerance to corruption, or this is an isolated case, which I want to believe up to date, like Ferdinand Waitutu was only moved from court, not because he committed anything, because I'm not sure the court has yet to produce it, but because he was perceived to be a friend to the deputy president.
Right.
And for me, when then you do that, if that could be the position, then you've lost the script.
Right.
It should be clear, because the Constitution is very clear. I want to believe if the county assemblies were to follow the constitutional threshold of removing governors, they could have removed Sonko by now. Ojamong could have been removed. Waititu could have gone as he did. Obado could have gone, and anybody charged, because the standard is if there is a belief that a governor has violated the national law, has committed a crime under the national statutes, then that is a good ground.
Right.
And there can't be any better belief than being charged in court. That should be ground. But at that stage, then they must independently examine what is available before them in terms of documentation, then be convinced that, yes, these documents may support, without necessarily looking at the constitutional, the criminal threshold of proof.
Right. Let me get Justice in on this one as well, because as you look at this particular scenario, assuming that the meeting yesterday actually bears fruit and that the MCAs do go ahead and push for this impeachment in the county assembly, there's still that sneaky question of the Senate, because we've seen how it's worked as far as impeachment of governors is concerned. The only case that actually went down that route was, as we have said, Ferdinand Waititu on this one. And people are saying, we know how this script plays out. There'll be a lot of drama at the assembly, but ikifika Senate, we know that's why he'll manage to wiggle his way out and survive this one. What's your take on the political implications and play that might happen if this goes down the route ODM is trying to push it?
Thank you. first and foremost, I want to say that generally this is not a war on corruption. This is a political conflict masquerading as a war on corruption. And the doublespeak within the ODM fraternity really stings to the eye, Evans, because recently the very same party gave instructions to his senators in the Senate to save one Waiguru. The very same party, the day before yesterday, summoned their own MCAs to give an almost opposite instruction to put Obado's head on the chopping board for almost similar sins. And in fact, listening to Mbadi was very interesting when they made allegations that that there was somebody who was trying to influence the MCAs. Well, he himself, he was not even pretending to influence. He was indeed instructing the MCAs. I mean, the doublespeak in this country stings. I mean, there's a lot of dishonest. And by the way, I think the weakest link, as my dear sister did mention, is the judiciary. I think it has become a conveyor belt where you just need to talk to the DCI, he processes some funny charges, and then the DPP approves. And once you land on the charges land on the table of a judge, they give very similar orders that somebody should be from marched to his office, from marched out, and never to be seen within the confines and the presence of his office. And of course, that has become so predictable that those who own and possess the instruments of machinery to bring to investigate and bring these charges before the court of law. Of course, you can almost tell what will happen once a governor has been brought to court. You know that the instructions from the court will be similar, that this fellow should not go anywhere near his office. And therefore, to me, that has become too predictable and almost, in my opinion, I think the judiciary and the judicial process has been politicized. I do not believe maybe the courts are aware, or they may be aware, but I think it's been highly politicized. When it comes to Senate, of course, definitely the ODM brigade will be paying for the blood of Obado. Obado do not stand a chance in Senate, I believe, unless they still the question of the division of revenue that may still save him. But if by the time the case will be before the August House, we will have been able to sort out the mess of division of revenue, sharing of revenue. Indeed, I think Obado may not stand a chance, because I think the state machinery, the ODM machinery, and of course, usually I see the wiper leader is always playing along. He's become the poodle of Jubilee and the ODM. He may not have his own stand. Once Raila and Uhuru said, go, yeah, I'm sure he'll say yes to Kopa Moja. And therefore, I believe very strongly that Obado, his goose is cooked, and his days as a governor of Migori are numbered, and I would rather he begins packing like Waititu in Kiambu.
That's an interesting statement you made. Let me bring it to Joy as well. Even as we wind up on this particular issue, do you feel that, just as Justice says, at this particular point, he might as well start packing up and vacating office, because the machinery seems bent on getting him out of office, and that's exactly what will happen now?
Yes, if we follow the template that we saw with Governor Waititu, the lynching, as Arnold likes calling it, and I think that's just the term for it, where you just bundle somebody through, don't even give them time to breathe, and just roll them down the line. And the word I think that Justice has kept using that is key here is the consistency. There's no consistency in how we treat these people. There is only consistency in the level of disdain that we treat somebody when they're no longer useful to us. And if we look at what happened to Governor Waititu, for example, he's a very influential governor. At that time, he was very influential. Was elected by very many people. The Kiambu County also needed to function, and we realized that there was a lot of acrimony between him and his deputy, just has been witnessed in Migori. And so the party machinery decided, you know what, we are throwing our weight behind the deputy. We want to see the deputy getting into power. And so they decided Waititu has got to go. And so the process, by the time we got to the Senate, the conclusion was foregone. All we were witnessing was the hanging on the gallows. And it's the same thing with the Governor Migori. Like Justice pointed out, and also what Dennis said earlier, if they had a chance to do this was when he was facing the murder charge. Because that time he was in custody for a very long time. He was not in office for a very long time. It was a serious allegation that has still not yet been disproved until now. So you get to a place where that was a very serious, it was a time when it was a golden opportunity. But now this seems to be a time to also settle scores. And if we look at what happened, for example, with Governor Kirinyaga, her treatment was vastly different from what we saw with Governor Waititu. But what we are going to see with Obado, if it gets to the Senate, I don't even think we'll go to committee, or even if we go to committee, the committee will have been socialized appropriately prior to their sitting, such that by the time the outcome comes, it will be a foregone conclusion. So I agree with you. There are some who, it seems, once the system has decided you're no longer going to be in place, I mean, you might as well. And we've had this said before, you know what, once they're against you, just, it's a foregone conclusion. Right. What is talk about influencing, even that influencing, we have seen people trying to influence and it did not work for them. Okay. You might as well save his money. He needs to pay some good lawyers. He's in a lot of trouble. Dennis
Anyoka, just 20 seconds before we wrap up this one and get to our first break. Some people are saying, yes, the system might be against him, but also we've witnessed a very disjointed Senate, especially with what's happening with allocation of revenue, to take that into account. So what we think might be home and dry for those who want to be Migori out, with the state of the Senate right now, might not be an automatic conclusion.
I think when we deal with the system as is, it is very difficult for Obado to be said that it can be saved by the revenue allocation quarrels that we have at the Senate. The Senate and even the National Assembly, as previously demonstrated, very erratic movements in terms of operations. When it comes to serving their masters, and for this case the big party leaders, they will not reason. They will simply pursue the agenda and deliver on it. However, allow me to mention something that just has mentioned, which I think it's important. Very quickly, 10 seconds. Very quickly. I don't think the judiciary is the weak link in the fight on corruption. We should appreciate that when it comes to criminal justice system, it's not about the judiciary alone. The executive gets involved, the police are there to investigate. There is the DPP, which is an independent institution, but largely, involved, making the decision. The courts and the judiciary only interact with these issues when the charge sheet has been placed, has been brought to court and somebody has been charged. And even at that point, the magistrate, they do not know what the issues are till the hearing of the matter, when the parties will produce the evidence. So I think we should not persecute the judiciary when the other arms and the other players are not doing their part. Okay,
we're going to take a short break at this particular point in time. But as we said at the beginning of the show, you can walk away with airtime right here. And all you need to do is download yourself a copy of your People Daily straight to your phone. The number that you need is *550*4#. Once again, the number is *550*4#. Dial that number, get yourself a copy of your People Daily straight to your phone. Once you do that, take a screenshot of that particular picture and just send it to us on the WhatsApp number at the bottom of the screen. And once you do that, you get yourself airtime, all courtesy of the People Daily and Safaricom. We have a couple of winners already. Let's have them up on screen. Maina Masharia, right there, proudly exhibiting his downloaded copy of the PD. It's only 10 shillings, by the way, and for that you're getting yourself airtime, all courtesy of Safaricom right there. So Maina Masharia, congratulations. You're our first winner right here. We have another winner. Let's have that up. Trufena Chepto from Elgeyo Marakwet County, second winner right there. And as you can see, having downloaded her copy of the e-paper as well, getting herself airtime right here. One more coming in. Let's see that. Jafet Idhibua, watching and reading from Murang'a Town, following the conversation and downloading his copy of the paper right there. As you can see, there you go, right across the country. Only costs you 10 shillings for that. Let's have another one before we wind up this first half. Wilita Chamutai from Kericho. There you go. So like we told you, wherever you are across this country, you will get yourself a copy of your People Daily by dialing the number *550*4#. And right here, we're going to give you airtime just for showing us you're part of the conversation. Take a screenshot and send it to the WhatsApp number, the bottom of the screen. Take a short break. We're back with more. This is a newspaper review on K24 this morning.